The English department had a part in this, the art department had a part, the math and science departments actually put things here in the walls. When I was a senior at Bob Jones Academy, it was the bicentennial anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And so there's a big celebration, 200 years of our independence from Britain. And now here we are 50 years later with the Semiquincentennial. Try to say that word fast a few times. So what I want to do today is share with you the display that we have created in honor of the Declaration of Independence. As we were deciding what should we do for this celebration, we decided to, use the Hutto hallway, of course, because it's our big hallway. But then we started going, where do we start? Do we start at the beginning? Do we start right with the Declaration? The project just grew and grew. And what we decided was to go back to a time period where the idea of our independence and our rights developed, and that was through a document called the Magna Carta from 1215. And so Mrs. Smith did this display for us, all about the Magna Carta. Then we found some information about the Iroquois Indians and the influence they had on government and how they had a similar setup as we have. So put this on display. And then the English Bill of Rights, of course, and the Age of Reason, the Enlightenment, that gave us these great philosophers who did a lot about government and what your rights are with the government. And so this first part of the little run here is more the pre-America history, what influenced us and what gave us some of the ideals that we held as we wrote the Declaration. When we first started talking about the project, one of the first parts that was completed were these acrostics. These were made by the creative writing classes that Mrs. Smith teaches. And if you look, a lot of them use the word American or liberty, and they gave their thoughts about what this actually means. So I wanted to really acknowledge this because they had to do some real creative thinking to come up with these acrostics. When it came to American history, of course, we had to start with Columbus. And what is fun about this whole wall is that students made a lot of these little posters. Like, for example, this comes from the U.S. history classes, moments in American history. And if you notice, there's kind of color coding here. Then any that say illustrations of historical moments, that comes from art classes. And these are great drawings by our students of different events. Then we had, American scientists, and a lot of the American scientists and writers during this time period. We also think of some of them are our founding fathers. And then we have wars that we display here. More artwork by our students, and we finally come to what should be the centerpiece of this hallway, and that is the Declaration of Independence itself. And of course, this is not the original one. It is about the size of the original one, but this is what we have today. You find that original copy in the National Archives. Then we moved on through the next very important 10 years of our history, maybe even like 15 years, where we finished fighting a war. So all these posters like this represent wars. And we move over here to the actual writing of our Constitution. And so, we have another big 250th anniversary coming up soon, again for September 17th, the birthday of our Constitution. Once we become an official nation under our Constitution that we have today, then that is followed by things like the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. And then suddenly we become a big growing nation. And at this point, you start seeing presidents featured on this wall, American presidents, and then authors and scientists. Come into the 1800s and we have more war, we have more art. And I think probably we have to stop here at the Civil War, where you have Abraham Lincoln, and we have a really interesting art rendition of his assassination. Get all the way up here to the World War I and World War II. And again, lots of writers, lots of historical events happening. And you'll notice as we go down the line that it gets fuller and fuller, because the older our nation gets, the more we're contributing to what's going on. Get all the way down here to President Trump. This is more about art on this part, and famous artists, Norman Rockwell especially being a very noted American artist. And I think one of my favorite parts of the wall is this part right here. This is something my classes did, where they found actual prayers by our founding fathers and prayers at big events, which is a foundational part of our nation, is that we are a nation of prayer. The math department contributed famous mathematicians, and then our freshman English classes wrote these little poems about freedom and faith and just the different aspects of what America is about from a Christian perspective. We decided to end our display with what is kind of a fun thing to do, but this used to be a very blank sheet of paper, and we invited Academy students and anybody who walks through this hallway to sign this, because we believe that these truths were self-evident, that were published in the Declaration, and with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, that this is something that God allowed us to have and directed men to write in a way that would give us the freedom we have. So students have signed this, faculty have signed this, and it's been a fun just place to come and say, hey, I looked at the project and I acknowledge the importance of the Declaration. But that is our Declaration of Independence project. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll come see it for yourself.